To advance his leaving training, we really focused on bridging the gap between training scenarios and real life. So we started with this step where I'm dropping multiple treats, one at a time and then a handful at a time to practice. This builds up to real life examples where you drop stuff that is dangerous, like a handful of grapes, a handful of M&Ms, chocolate chips, pills, things that hit the ground and scatter. It's really important that when that kind of stuff happens in life, that if our dogs are heading for it, that we can tell them to leave it and they won't go for it. So you can see I started with him pretty basic. He was sitting. Then what I did is I tossed a treat away to get him so that he was in motion towards the stuff as I dropped it, because that is way harder. We want to make sure we're not asking him to sit and then drop the things. You can also see that when I stepped away that he went for it again, so always keep your eye on him. So then we practiced things like me tripping, and then we moved into from the training room to the kitchen to practice. So I'm standing at the counter, and then I kind of nudge some treats off the ground, and I want to, same thing, be able to say leave it. We're bridging that gap. We're still training, but it looks closer to real life for him.
Leave it.
Here we did the same thing, but we did it in a public space at the park. Again, building this practice in different environments and in realistic scenarios. Here's a real one where he was going for a cracker on the ground.
Hendricks, come.
Fork, come when called. We're going to say, Hendricks, come. And as soon as he turns to look at us, we're going to mark yes and begin praising. Marking yes as soon as his head turns is really important. That's what gets them moving.
Come.
If he doesn't turn his head right away, the first thing we want to do is kind of pause, give him a second to respond like he did there. And then if that still doesn't work, then we're going to use some kind of noise, something exciting to get his attention. And then again, as soon as he turns to look, we're going to mark yes and reward by praising him all the way to us and reward him when it gets to us. You can practice this in a backyard, fenced-in area, as well as on leash, using a 15, 20, 30-foot leash in public spaces like parks and green spaces to really just make sure that it is solid in any environment. Place. We also worked on advancing his place cue. He already knows this really well, but what we did is took this out and about. So that way this is something you could use in a public space. If you wanted to take him to a brewery and sit with him somewhere, you could ask him to place. And then we practiced more distance and distraction being in a public space. We're outside, there's people and dogs and other noises. So this distance is going to be harder here than it would be at home. So this is a good way to practice. I do have his leash on, and I just dropped that leash, but it's hanging there so that if he were to get up, it's a quick just step on it. He's not going to take off and go anywhere because you're going to be able to get to it. You see, just like with anything, you're going to come back, reward, and then release. Here we went to the park and used a big green space so we could practice even more distance as well as some distractions of me running past him, running away. He did really good, obviously. He had some moments where he wanted to get up. This is difficult, but overall he's doing really great with place. So you can keep practicing this by doing this exactly here. At this park you can see the leash there. I have a big 30-foot long line on him, and so again he would be dragging that if he were to try to run off. You can easily step on that leash so he can't get anywhere. I'm just coming back and rewarding him periodically as we do some of that more difficult stuff. If he gets up, we send him right back. And we keep going. And I like to practice distractions like the running away and then also side to side. While it's not likely you're going to be the one running away or past him, it is likely in public spaces that you could have kids or joggers or other people running past, bikes going past. So I just like to practice and build in all the possible distractions that we can so that we can make sure this place is really solid and he understands that no matter what's happening kind of around him, that he can still stay put.
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
While I didn't always have the mat on me when we were out and about eating at the park, what we did practice is kind of the same thing. I asked him to down and stay, and then periodically rewarding him just like I would if he was on his placemat. Ideally, I like the placemat because it makes it just a really solid understanding for the dog of where you want them, and it would be easy to move it like exactly where you want it, whether it's to the side or even under the table, depending on your location and what you're doing. But like you can see here, while we're eating, I'm just periodically rewarding him. In these situations, I'm using something high value. I prefer to use string cheese. I like something that when I'm eating, I don't mind touching and then also touching my own food. And cheese sticks are easy to do. So you can see we did the same thing here as a whole family went to the park, and the park was super busy this day. And so I was rewarding him a little bit more frequently during this meal just because there were lots of kids running by, scooters, other dogs, just lots of chaos kind of going on at the park because there were baseball games going on. But I asked him to lay down and then rewarded him. When people went by, like you just saw, I also rewarded that. Wait means stop and don't go any further. So when we say wait, we draw an imaginary line and we're telling our dogs they cannot cross it. Unlike a traditional stay, though, they can be in a sit, down, or stand position, and they can even move around as long as they don't cross that imaginary line we drew. So this is really great for steps because you can ask them to wait and then release them with free when you're ready to release them past that line. So you're not getting tripped going up or down stairs by your dog. Also great for front doors when you have packages or you need to step outside for a little bit. So we're encouraging them, you stay. I don't care what else you do. You can walk around through the house, you can go play, but you cannot cross this line here. So another key point with wait is that you do not have to release it unless you're letting them cross that line. So again, unlike a traditional stay, they do not need released if you're not going to let them cross the line. So in this situation, I asked him to wait. I stepped out the door. I was watering some plants on the front porch. When I came back in, I shut the door and I rewarded him, but I did not say free because we're not letting him go through that door. I drew that line at the door. We're not doing that. So there's no need to release anything because he is free to be in a sit down stand and move around as much as he wants, just not go out the door. We also took this and practiced in other locations. So here we are at the vet's office where I teach group classes. And so we practice there, to generalize that it's not just at the house, the front door, anywhere we ask. Another way I like to practice is in motion. So like we did here, we're walking together. I can say wait and I can keep going. And then if I release him, then he knows he can come forward with me. This is really handy on walks if you ever need to have him pause for a second when you're about to cross the street, if you need to look around a corner, situations like that. He is to stay put and not cross that line unless you release him. So in this case, I came back, rewarded him, and then you can pick up his leash and keep going. Or I rewarded him for staying and then came back and released him. So here's some more practice. Again, we just worked on generalizing this all over the place at busy parks, at other locations, just to help him generalize wait. So if you release him, he can come to you for the treat, for wait, or you can go back to him, pick up his leash, and then release him again. So this is just us continuing to practice, really push that wait. This can also be really handy in the house if you're wanting to step into a room and leave the door open, but you don't want him to come in that room with you or to follow you. And so you can just cue him wait at the door, go into the room. Again, he's allowed to go down the hallway, do whatever, just not come in that room with you. Sometimes he's going to stay put. My dogs tend to do that as well. They just kind of hang out by the door. But again, there's no exact rule on what he's doing other than not crossing that line. Wait can then also be kind of advanced into an emergency stop, which is why I love this so much. So when he's in front of you, you could say wait. He knows to stop and not go any further. So we practice this here by me dropping the leash. That's a real scenario that could happen. The leash falls out of your hand. You want to be able to tell him wait, and he knows to stop and come back to you and not go further. You can also use this as a way to keep him from jumping out of the car too fast. You wait. When you're ready for him to get out, release him. All right, Hendricks, let's go. So I'm out on a walk with Hendricks this morning, and I just wanted to kind of show you while we're here in the neighborhood some of the just basics of loose leash walking. So the main thing is, what we call rewarding good choices. So what this looks like is when he's walking the way we want him to, so next to us or even slightly in front, but with a loose leash, good boy, we're going to mark and reward. I'm also going to mark and reward good choices like ignoring distractions, like maybe another dog or a child running by. He looks at them but doesn't kind of pull or have any kind of bigger reaction, then I'm going to mark yes and reward that as well. So we're just periodically rewarding him for walking the way we want. So we're about to walk by a bunch of stuff. I know he has a tendency to try to grab stuff on the ground. So you can see if we've had his attention, good boy, then he's not as likely to be trying to grab all the things. Oops, Hendricks, over. So when a car's coming, we pull off to the side. We use the cue over. Yes, let's go. And then let's go is our cue to let's keep moving. Good boy, Hendricks. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. So once he knows that you're ready to work and that you've gotten opportunities for reinforcement, yes, he's less likely to bother all the stuff in the surroundings, to the point that sometimes I can't get him to not look at me. Hendricks, let's go. Good boy. So engaging with him can also be other things than just rewarding good choices. Yes, it can also be praising him, talking to him, encouraging him on past things. This way. Good boy, Hendricks. Good boy, come on. Yes. So you're going to periodically just reward him. And as he gets better, oops, this way, at walking, then you can slowly start to space out how often those treats come. Yes. The neighborhood, I will say, is definitely more distracting to him. Funny enough, than like a park. I think it's just maybe there's a little bit more of like, I'm going to stay close because this is an unfamiliar area versus the neighborhood. This way. Good boy. Yes. This way is our cue for we're turning around, we're changing directions. Yes. Good boy. Couple things to note when working on this. One is that when you mark yes, even if he's in front of you, yes, your hand's always going to go to the side closest to him, and he has to come to you for the reward. That's really important because we want to make all the good stuff happen right here. So even if he's in front and we mark and reward, we're not reaching forward to him. Yes, right? So he has to come back to me. And it's also really important that you're always using the hand closest to him. If you start crossing your body like this, he will start meeting you in front and tripping you to get those rewards. Yes, let's go. Good boy. So overall, Hendricks is doing really, really great with his walking, especially in public places. I'm really impressed with his ability to focus in those areas for being so young. Yes, let's go. Good boy. I know, lots of things to look at today, huh? Oh, weird stuff. Lots of new stuff checking out. Trash cans are out and people doing yard work type things. So this is kind of the basics of leash walking. And then of course we've worked on some, let's go, more advanced things as well for his walking. Yes. So like there you see, right, even when he's in front, if I mark yes, I'm going to keep my arm at my side and he has to come back to me. Let's go this way. Yes, good boy. We want to make sure that the walking for him is not only fun, but it's a team activity and not just you holding onto the leash. Often when we first get somewhere or go on the walk, he is trying to like pull, he's ready to go, he's excited, and I will just stop. Oops, did you drop your treat? I will just kind of stop and wait until he gathers himself, reward him for offering me attention in those moments without asking for it, but just waiting for him to make that choice. And once he's calmed down, normally only takes 30 seconds or so, or 30 seconds to a minute, and then we're able to kind of move on and actually start our walk. So, but overall, doing so great. And like what I was about to say was that, yes, we are also working on kind of advancing things with his his weight, his middle, all those kinds of things as well. Yes, he is a pleasure to walk, and I think he's doing amazing. And all you're going to work on with these rewarding good choices over time is slowly rewarding less and less until you don't need too many. Just keep in mind that right now when you're out on a walk with him, you want to make sure you have that treat pouch and have more treats than you think you'll need, because it's better to have too many than too little. So that is everything on the basics of leash walking. Yes. Oops, I know, we're heading towards home.
Another way to advance his leash walking skills are to practice pace changes. So this helps him learn to pay attention to what you're doing, which in turn is going to keep him sticking with you better and walking nicely on a leash. So I'm practicing walking really slowly, speeding up, stopping. And what you'll see is when I stop, he stops. Ideally sits, but it's okay as long as he just stops. But we're practicing that pace change so that we know he's paying attention to what we're doing. This also includes like turning, and so I'll use my cue this way to tell him I'm taking kind of a turn and turning around. I want to know that when we're out on a walk that he's paying attention. While he doesn't have to stare at you the whole time like he is in this video, he's very motivated. But he doesn't have to stare at you the whole time, but we do want to know that he's paying attention to what we're doing. So practicing these pace changes is just really handy. And again, especially those stops when you stop, because if you're taking him into public spaces, you want to know that when you stop, that he's noticing that and he's not just kind of like bulldozing forward. Another thing we worked on when out and about were distractions of people and dogs. So when people and dogs were passing by, when he looks at them, we're marking yes and rewarding. We call this the look at that game or engage, disengage. And basically I'm just rewarding him for noticing those things, but not being scared of them or overreacting by barking in excitement, kind of looking for neutral responses. That is always my goal when out and about with our dogs, is that they know that their outing is not about them greeting all the people and dogs in the world, but that it is about the two of us. And so we want a dog that is neutral when out and about, unless we cue them that they're allowed to kind of go say hi to people and go greet humans or dogs. So when kids walked by here, you just see I'm marking and rewarding him for staying with me and staying focused.
All right, so for in, we're going to use a point and we're going to kind of lure him into our sides. We're going to point away and then in kind of a U shape. Ready? In. Right, lure him right next to you. Yes, he's a little farther back than I'd like, but you're going to mark yes and reward once he's sitting at your side. Sit. Yes. And then you're going to periodically reward, just like you would with any other stay, until you release him. This starts to build that implied stay that when we ask you to in, it means come sit next to our side and stay there until you're released. Free. Good boy. Let's do it again. In. Yes. And so over time, you're just going to work on spacing out these treats a little bit more and a little bit more until you don't need as many, and he kind of gets the idea of the stay. The same thing with the hand signal. You're going to slowly make that smaller and smaller until it can be something a lot simpler. Free. Oh, that was a close one. In. Yes. If you think he's about to get up, go ahead and get that free word in there so that we're making sure he's building the stay part of it, just like he did there. That was kind of a close one. Yes. Free. Good boy. And let's do it one more time. In. So you can see as he gets the body movement down, yes, we can make that hand signal smaller and smaller until it's kind of more of just like a point to your side with the cue word in. Free. Nice job. Good boy. So the next one is middle, similar to in, but we're going to have him go around us and then stand in between our legs. So to start, I have treats in both hands to help him out. Middle. And then we're going to meet him in between. Yes. And mark and reward once he's there. Yes. Yes. Just like in, we're building that implied stay. Oops. Oh. So middle, he's not as far along with his in. We've been practicing in a lot longer. We started that pretty early on, whereas middle's a newer cue for him. So he's not quite as good as it. And it also, in the beginning, which is very common, made him a little nervous. He's wondering why I want him kind of underneath of me. Middle. Yes. 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 Free. Good boy. Make sure when you're releasing him that we are encouraging him to go forward. A lot of dogs, especially with middle, have a tendency to back out. We really want him to go around, stay there, and then come out from the front. So, middle. As he gets better at this, we're going to slowly wean those hand signals off until they're smaller and smaller and you don't need them as much, just like with in, and same with the stay. So you can see I'm rewarding him a little bit more frequently with this one than I was in, and that is because this is a newer cue for him. Free. Good boy. Let's do it one more time. Ready? Middle. Yes. Good boy. That was really good considering I did a lot smaller movement. Yes. It didn't give him quite as much lure and direction there, so that was excellent. And then you're just, again, going to keep rewarding until you're going to release him. Yes. Free. Good boy. Nice job, buddy. There are two ways that you can work on in and middle inside the house just to continue to build practice and get those cues more solid. One is by working on the direction he may come from. So he's not always going to be sitting perfectly in front of you when you ask for in. He might be over here, 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 great. Because the fun thing about these cues is they're great for on leash when you're out and about, but you could also use these if he was off leash. So what I'm going to do is have him in, yes, and reward, and then I'm going to toss a treat away and say, get it. That's his cue to go get a treat, and then I can ask him to come back. Hendricks, in, yes. And this starts helping him practice, get it, coming back to me from different angles. So we can toss it this way, over here, straight ahead. Hendricks, in, yes, good boy, get it. Hendricks, in. And this is just helping us, right, solidify that cue, get him really good at that body movement of curling himself and tucking himself in close. Get it. And you're just mixing up those angles so that he can practice doing it from any direction you may ask. Hendricks. Hendricks, in. Yes. So you can see like that one was a little sloppy, where his bottom was kind of out over here. He's distracted because the treat went under the cabinet, but his butt was kind of over here instead of nicely tucked in over here. So that's why we like this game, because we really want to get it where it's nice and tight, because in public spaces, and you really want him to be able to tuck himself in close. Yes. Yes, good boy. Free. Nice job. So that is number one. Second way to practice is by mixing in, and middle. So we're going to play this kind of fun game where we go back and forth between them. So in, yes. Middle, yes. Yes. In, yes. Yes. And I'm still going to work on that implied stay a little bit as well. Middle, yes. Yes. In, yes. Good boy. So you're just kind of alternating. Yes. In, oops. In, yes. Good boy. Middle. Yes, good boy. Good boy. In, whoops. In, yes, good boy. Free. Nice job, Hendricks. So that's just another way you can practice inside the house on really solidifying both those cues. Again, and also being able to maneuver him between those two positions. Maybe you've asked for in, but there's somebody walking by with a dog that doesn't seem under control. You may ask for middle so that you have him more secured, and you can help body block from that other dog, or vice versa. Maybe you put him here and you feel like you need to be like you're ready to move now, so you can ask him to in. Now he's at your side, and then you can cue him on to walk. So both ways are really important ways to practice. One is at different angles, and then that second game is mixing between in and middle and going back and forth. Middle.
And as we practice middle a little bit more, he got even better with less luring. So I just wanted to add this little clip in here so you could see that just even in that short time from that other video, as we practice more, he got even better at middle. He's really smart and super motivated. So he's going to be able to learn whatever you guys want to teach him, whether it's fun, advanced obedience, or just some really cool, cute tricks.
Yes. Free. Nice job, Hendricks. Nice job, buddy.
And that's a wrap on Hendricks training.